What is up, guys? Welcome back to Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho. Thank you so much for watching. And today we are doing a draft review on the LA Rams. And the Rams are kind of an interesting team as far as their lack of value for first round picks and their desire to have big name free agents and big name acquisitions. A little bit interesting, not maybe the best value moves as far as you have to pay everybody kind of situation that they put themselves in, but that is what it is. Let's get into the actual draft for this draft, which I actually really like. I like a lot of the players that they got. First of all, what was the plan? I think their plan was to kind of reload at some of the positions that they had to let go of this year, especially running back and wide receiver specifically. They let go of two highly paid players in Todd Gurley and Brandon Cooks. They either traded or just cut them all together, and they had to replace those picks. I'm not going to sit here and say that I absolutely love it, but I think that was the priority coming into this draft. They replaced both those positions with their first two picks, and I'm going to talk about that. I think they maybe could have made do with other positions or maybe a lesser valued running back or something along those lines, but that just is what it is. I get it. I really do. They're an offense first team, so that's their plan. As far as my next review, did they take an offensive lineman within their first 4 rounds? No, they did not. That is something that is a little bit concerning for me for a team that does have a very aging offensive line, but again, that is what it is. They did not value that position this year. And lastly, did you get a piece of the strength of the offense, which is wide receiver? And as I mentioned earlier, they took a wide receiver in the second round. So yes, they did get a strength of their draft. So let's move on to the actual picks. In the second round, picks 52 overall, they do take Cam Akers, running back out of Florida State, and this is one of my favorite players in the draft. I love the fit. I love the player, and I mean, I'm just so excited that he went to the Rams. I think he will be a bell cow running back for the Rams. This is actually the player that I did my very first draft review on. I love Cam Akers. I think he's a guy who he played on a terrible offense line. He did. He I'm a Florida State fan, so I'll tell you how it is. Florida State was bad last year. They were really bad, and Cam Akers really struggled, but he made something out of nothing. It seemed like every other play. So now he's going to a situation where he is going to have every opportunity to be that bell cow. I think he will be. Some people may have called this a reach. I don't think it was. I thought Cam Akers was absolutely in the conversation for that top 5 running back in this class. However you wanted to put it in order from 1 to 5, I think the top 5 running backs went off the board first, and Cam Akers was absolutely in that conversation. So for me, the value here is perfect. I think I may have valued other positions more, because if I'm the Rams, I think there are other positions that maybe you kind of needed more help at, or at the very least were more pressing or higher value there, and you could have probably taken a lesser running back in later rounds. But you're the Rams, and you have a really good system, and you probably could have made a lot out of that, out of a lesser running back. But needless to say, that's not what the Rams want to do. They want to be a powerhouse on offense, and part of that is having a really good running back. I don't think the Rams will lose a beat from the Todd Gurley Rams that they had 2 years ago that went to the Super Bowl. I really don't. I think that's the kind of upside that Cam Akers has for this team. I know that's crazy talking about a guy who came out in the second round and has never really proven anything, even at the college level, but just because of how bad of an offense he had around him. But man, I really do believe that's the upside for this guy, and I think he's going to hit it sooner rather than later. And in the second round, 5 picks later, pick 57 overall, this was the pick that they got from the Texans for Brandon Cooks. They take another wide receiver. They take Van Jefferson, so they get a cheaper option here with a wide receiver out of Florida. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have a draft profile on this guy as well. You can go watch it, and you can kind of see I'm not the highest on him. Now that came out kind of early in the process, and I just kind of talked about how I just did not see it. I didn't see him put it all together. Granted, Florida wasn't a great offense, and there was a lot to that. at the end of the day, he is an absolutely crisp route runner. I would argue he was probably the best route runner in the class, and there were a lot of good route runners in this class, specifically Jerry Jeudy. But I mean, there are clips. If you go watch the draft profile, when you get to the film portion of it, there was one clip where he absolutely put someone in his rear view mirror within the first 3 steps of his route. It was just ridiculous, and it wasn't explosiveness. It was just absolute route running. It was just absolutely beautiful, and he can do that on a regular basis. And I think that's the upside of Van Jefferson. I think that's why he probably went earlier than I valued him. I valued him as a 4th round pick. Love this fit for him, though. I really do. Love this fit for the Rams, and coming in and not having to be the number 1 or even the number 2. I think that's going to work out really well for him. He can come in and be the number 3 receiver on a team that just absolutely loves to run 11 personnel. So I think he's going to see the field a lot. I think his route running, and he was brought up by a coach, so he has the technical aspect of the game down. I question the overall. The overall physical ability as far as just how he's going to fit in the NFL from that perspective. But at the end of the day, he is in the perfect position to succeed. And this was one of those picks where this is a guy I wasn't high on. So, obviously part of me always wants to be right. So when I saw that he was going to the Rams, I was like, shit, the Rams are going to make me look stupid. Like, I'm always rooting for the player. I'm rooting for Van Jefferson. I want him to do very well. But like there's that little part of me that just, it's ego. And it's like, man, I want to be right about everything I say. And the second he went to the Rams, I'm like, he's going to be really good on the Rams. That's a good fit. Damn it. That is what it is. Moving on, in the 3rd round, pick 84 overall, they do take Terrell Lewis, linebacker out of Alabama. And this is a guy I love. I think if you just look at talent alone, he was a 1st round pick. He really was. He has the upside of a Rashaan Evans who went to the Titans in the 1st round. He has the upside of following in that legacy of just amazing linebackers to come out of Alabama. But he has incredible injury history and just some serious injury concerns that I think brought him down to the 84th pick in the draft. I think the Rams, they're taking a chance on a guy like this. They are. They're risking it a little bit here in the 3rd round, but the upside is a late 1st round type of guy, and maybe even higher than that, maybe a top 25 type of pick, depending on how well he would have done through the draft process and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, I understand teams can't get past the injury concerns, can't produce much when you're not on the field. So that just is what it is. But I love the pick, and I love taking a shot on a guy like this in the 3rd round. I think that's just perfect situation to take a super high upside type of guy. And then with their 2nd pick in the 3rd round, pick 104, they do take Terrell Burgess, safety out of Utah, and I love the athletic profile of this guy. I love his coverage ability. I thought he was in the conversation for one of the top 5 safeties in this class. I don't know that I would have put him in there if I had ranked my safeties. I didn't, but he was definitely in the conversation. Thought it was a little bit strange for the Rams to go safety here, just because they did take Tyler Rapp, who was a 2nd rounder last year, and I was very high on Rapp coming into that draft. So a little bit surprised, but not absolutely shocked. I mean, Terrell Burgess is going to be good. It looks like they're addressing the 2nd and 3rd level of that defense, which was the main issue for the Rams. Obviously, that defensive line needs no extra help, but they struggle a little bit in the secondary, and they struggle a little bit in the middle, and they got 2 guys in the 3rd round that I think can come in and be starters. I think for Terrell Burgess, I like I said earlier, I like the athletic profile. I think he can come in and be a solid starter. I don't know that I see world beater upside there, but it feels like more of a safe pick after taking Terrell Lewis, which is obviously a big gamble. As far as draft day trades, they only made one. They traded down 10 picks in the 4th round and in return got 2 7th round picks. As far as understanding the value in the draft and draft management, asset management, all those things that I'm very high on, that my little draft nerd brain just absolutely loves, I can't really get behind this trade. 7th round picks, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's not a very high percentage of guys that end up becoming even quality starters or backups even. So it's just an absolute crapshoot at that point in the draft. To move down 10 spots in the 4th round, which is not a premium draft pick, obviously, but it definitely has some value. I mean, you definitely hit a good percentage of the time in the 4th round. I think you probably could have gotten more than 2 7th round picks, which to me or nothing. That's not a trade I would have made, but it is what it is. Again, I'm kind of being a little bit technical. They did get 3 picks for 1, so I understand that. I probably would have tried to get maybe a higher pick, but that just is what it is. As far as my favorite move, I had a couple. I kind of went back and forth between, I love the Cam Akers move, but there was a little part of me that's like, do I love taking a running back when they had other needs? So I love the upside for the pick. I think my favorite pick though is taking Terrell Lewis in the 3rd round. Like I said when I talked about him earlier, Terrell Lewis was a first-round pick. I don't think there's any way that he's not a first-round pick if he's healthy. And yes, health is an obvious concern, but taking a chance on that with the 84th pick in the draft, that just is not as scary to me. I think that's one of those gambles that it just has incredible upside, and you're risking a 3rd-round pick, so it's not the worst downside either. I mean, you're allowed to miss on a 3rd-round pick here and there. It doesn't change your job status by any means. And then my least favorite move, the lack of dedication to the offensive line, I didn't love. The kind of sexy pick type of feel that I always get from the Rams. I feel like the Rams, they're always making those sexy moves. Oh, we're gonna trade 2 firsts for Jalen Ramsey. That's awesome, but now you got to pay him. And you already made a big trade for Sammy Watkins a couple years ago, and you didn't want to pay him. You're trying to pay everybody on your offense. I mean, you paid Todd Gurley, you paid Brandon Cooks, you paid all these guys, and there's just a lot of moves that are starting to rack up and starting to look like bad moves in hindsight. I'm starting to get nervous. Just the front office for the Rams, just their desire to make sexy moves, and look, we all love it, don't we? Like, I love seeing the headline, the Rams make these awesome moves, and in the past 2 years they've done a lot of it, and here and there it's worked out, but here and there it's also gone the other direction as well, and now it feels like they're in cap hell because they're valuing all these players at premium prices, and they're not valuing the draft. And granted, I'm a draft nerd. I'm always going to look at it from plus EV type of things. So a team that doesn't value the draft very highly and is willing to trade. I mean, they haven't made a pick in the 1st round in 5 years. So teams like that, yeah, I'm always going to kind of look at them a little bit harder. I'm going to grade them a little bit harder. I hope I'm wrong. I do. I really like the Rams. I love Sean McVay. I love a lot of the players that are on that team. But it's just strange to me. And just the sexy picks in the 2nd round with a running back and a wide receiver. They were fine at those positions. Yes, they lost Todd Gurley, but they had Henderson that they drafted in the 3rd round last year. They at wide receiver, you essentially drafted your 3rd wide receiver in the 2nd round, which is fine. But in this draft, I think I would have valued other positions a little bit higher. It's a bad way to build your team through skill positions. You want to build your team through the trenches and then add skill positions to complete your team, not the other way around, in my opinion, but that's just me. And for me, the biggest surprise goes hand in hand with my least favorite move. I was very surprised that their first pick was Cam Akers. I really was. Not because I didn't like Cam Akers there. I really did. I love the value for Cam Akers in the 2nd round. That was perfect. But just to go running back, which is the least valued position in the draft in general. 2nd round is where they start to go because you already got your first pick, but the Rams don't take 1st round picks. They trade their 1st round picks. So with their first pick in the draft, they take a running back, take away the name, because I love the name. He was one of my guys. I mean, he was, I think, the very first player that I talked about when we started the My Guys segment on the podcast. Check out Between the Pylons podcast, by the way. So I don't hate the player at all. I'm not even hating the pick. It just was surprising to me. I thought they probably would have gone a different direction, but that's fine. All in all, I'm going to give this draft a B minus. I'm taking into account a little bit the Jalen Ramsey trade, a little bit. I'm taking into account the lack of dedication to maybe less sexy picks. The offensive line specifically, I would have expected them to address that position because it's going to start to become a need very soon. Don't wait until the 250th pick to take your first offensive lineman, especially when you're a team that wants to run the ball first and wants to be the play action type of team that they obviously want to be. A little issue for me, but all in all, I like a lot of the players that they got early, especially at face value. If you don't go any deeper, I love the draft. It'd probably be higher than a B minus, but all in all, I think it lands on a B- for me. But all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like button, so subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I really want to hear it. I want to know where the Rams fans are at with this draft, with their team. What are you guys thinking? You guys are not that far off from that Super Bowl run. You only scored 3 points in that Super Bowl, but you made it, and you lost to the greatest franchise we've seen in the past ever. So you're not that far off. I know you didn't make the playoffs this year, but man, I like to know where you guys think y'all are at, because I'm still excited for the Rams. I think the Rams could easily win their division this year. I really do. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Peace out.